You are a fascist if you do not stop your leader from putting people in concentration camps!
Well, in what sense is our society male-dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labour.
A very tiny proportion of men, and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. It's like, where's the dominance here precisely? What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society. There's nothing about that that's vaguely appropriate.
But what the difference was then than it is now is that before you had babies, you got married. So you have the father and the mother in the home. And while the father was out earning a living, the mother was watching over his children. And so you were able to raise decent children. We didn't have government in our lives at the time. And so we were able to do that. And in America, we were not allowed all these illegal aliens and refugees to come into our country. So our government were not taking care of folks from other parts of the world and the families in America. We took care of ourselves.
I think you've pretty much pissed off everybody. But you said there's not anything you've heard that you don't think is crap. So what do you think? You said what you don't think. What do you think?
I know that we need to restore the family. We need a smaller government because government don't make anything work.
I actually have a question for you. You being an anthropologist, which anthropology is the study of human civilization,
biological and social.
So if you were to dig up a human, two humans, in 100 years from now, both man and woman, could you tell the difference? Strictly off of bones.
No, because it's a wide range of... I'm sorry.
Women have...
I'm not sure why I'm being laughed at if I'm the expert in the room. Have any of you been to archaeological sites? Have any of you studied biological anthropology? I'm just saying. I've got over 150 years of data. I'm just curious as to why I'm being laughed at. When
I believe it or not, I have put a lot of research into this because I'm not comparing myself to you. I'm not comparing myself to you. I'm just telling you that I have considered all viewpoints.
I've often said there are three questions that I think would destroy most of the arguments on the left. And the first is, compared to what? The second is, at what cost? And the third is, what hard evidence do you have? Now, there are very few ideas on the left that can pass all three of those kinds of things.
Can conservative ideas pass those?
Yes, I think so, because they don't assume that there is a solution out there. There are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. And whatever you do to deal with one of man's flaws, it creates another problem. But that you try to get the best trade-off you can get, and that's all you can hope for.
When you target someone by attaching their name to your rape joke, that's okay.
Yeah, but I'm not inciting people. You are inciting people.
You're normalising.
Every single person I've spoken to about the things that you have said about me don't understand any of it. And if I just sit there and interrogate these people who are alleging things about me, I can just sit there and explain to them the context, and they go, well, that's not very important, is it?
You're normalising this kind of language.
I'm normalising comedy because at this point comedy is under attack in this country. I'm being investigated for a joke. I can name other comedians who are being investigated for jokes. We have gone down a very dark path. As Orwell says, printed on the front of this building, if liberty is to mean anything at all, it must mean the right to tell people that which they don't want to hear. Do you stand by that or not? This is the BBC. Does the BBC stand by that or not?
Here are some comments from your social media pages.
Are you voting for Trump? Yep. White supremacist. How? How can you say that? How can I say if you vote for Donald Trump, you're a white supremacist? How? How? Because you support that man in office. That's not an argument. I'm going to need proof that that makes me a white supremacist. You're going to have to break down the argument.
That's not my job to say that.
You just accused me of being a white supremacist. You should be able to back that up.
Are you voting for Donald Trump?
I sure am.
That's my proof.
Are you voting for Joe Biden?
Yes, I am.
Then you're a pedophile.
No.
Yes, you are.
A pedophile.
You're a pedophile. How? You like to sniff kids.